Hi and welcome to Yoga Berry, your yoga for scoliosis community. My name is Christine Jareggi-Berry. I'm a yoga teacher and I specialize in yoga for scoliosis. And today I've got a practice which is suitable for complete beginners, and all that you will need is a chair for this practice. If you do enjoy this video, please do give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments. It means so much to me to hear from you, to let me know how it's going. Really helps me to create future content as well. So we are starting the practice in a seated position, just sitting on the edge of the chair, so you're not in contact with the back of the chair, and that allows for the pelvis just to kind of roll forwards a little bit, and it means that we can lift up through the chest. It's a little bit more of an active sitting pose rather than sitting on a couch where you're just kind of slouching into it. So here we do actually need to use our core muscles to keep ourselves upright here. So we're lengthening through the crown of the head. Okay, so from there, let's move the shoulders a little bit. So we're going to draw some circles with the shoulders, always rolling backwards. So squeezing the shoulder blades together at the back, just bringing in that little bit of movement here. So just notice what's going on in the shoulders today. And then let's release. Turn your head to the right, coming back to center, and then turn the head to the left, coming back to center. So just turn the head from side to side a few times. Just notice if one side, if there's a little bit more movement than the other. And we have to keep in mind that with scoliosis, there is also a rotation in the spine, and that usually also continues up into the neck. So what if there is a curve in the lower back, there'll probably be a compensating curve somewhere else. There might also be one in the neck. So just kind of noticing if one side feels a little bit harder. So for me, it's definitely harder to turn the head to the right. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time here, maybe taking a couple of breaths. And then coming back to center. Good. And then from there we're going to tilt the head. So dropping the right ear towards the right shoulder. Coming back to center to the other side. So just dropping the ear towards the shoulder. And it's just the weight of the head that is doing the work here. Let's go from side to side a few times again with this one, just moving slowly, mindfully. And then let's take this into some semicircles. So drop the right ear towards the right shoulder, bringing the head forwards, chin towards the chest, and then over to the other shoulder. So we're just rolling from shoulder to shoulder. We're not taking the head all the way back. And just notice if you've started to kind of slouch now into the back, see if you can lift up. So coming into that lift again. I know it's difficult to kind of, because we are working with gravity here with scoliosis, especially you'll always feel that pull of gravity which is kind of pulling you down. So if somebody tells you to sit up straight, you know how difficult this is. It's obviously not exactly possible, but what we can do is think about length, so lengthening through the crown of the head. So let's do the rolling of the head just a few more times. Just see if there's any points that feel particularly tender, and that's where you might want to spend a little bit more time. Good, and then let's come back to center from there. Good. We're going to come into a gentle twist from here. So just turning yourself to the left and bring your left hand onto the outside of the chair, right hand onto the outside of the left leg. So without pulling, without pushing, just kind of exploring how far you can turn it to the side And then let's go over to the other side. So right hand onto the edge of the chair, left hand onto the outside of the leg. Good, so let's just move from side to side a few times. And again, just notice I'm literally just placing my hands to where they will go. I'm not actually using the chair to twist myself further around. And if you don't have any spinal fusion, then you can actually do that. So you could start to kind of twist yourself around a little bit more, only if that feels good for you. So sometimes I find this kind of squeezing action, and that's what we're literally doing, is we're squeezing all those muscles around the spine. Imagine like a dirty sponge full of dirty dishwater, and you're squeezing it, you're squeezing all the bad stuff out of it. That's how I imagine it, and it can feel really nice. However, if you have a spinal fusion, just be very mindful of this movement and not going against it. Good, so let's come back to center, and then let's come up into standing for a moment. We're going to turn the chair around. We're going to come into our half downward dog, and if you did watch last week's video, we will have done the pose already. Let's bring the hands to the back of the chair, and then just start to walk the feet back and bring the hips directly over the ankles. So let's walk the feet a little bit further back. Again, hips are directly over the ankles. So we are starting to hinge forwards at the hips rather than, so what I don't want you to do is kind of walking the feet back and starting to round through the spine. So it comes here, it comes from the hips. It's a flexing here at the hips. So if the chair is too low, then use the wall. So use something a little bit higher. Otherwise, we're going to lengthen a little bit more through the crown of the head and through the tailbone. Good, so just notice how I'm lengthening my spine a little bit more, and that's really in the yoga for scoliosis, that's what we're working on a lot, is that creating length in the spine. Good, let's bring the feet a little bit further back and see if we can lengthen a little bit more. And once we are getting into those poses and we start to lengthen, then we can start to address the imbalances as well. We can start to work a little bit more with left and right, but let's keep this simple at this stage. Good. Let's slowly come back to center, coming back up. So just extending upwards now, lifting up through the crown of the head. Good, and then from there, again, let's bring the hands onto the back of the chair. Left foot is forward, right foot is back. And I'm slightly turning the right foot in, so my heel is down to the ground. Both legs are straight. Inhale, lengthening, and then exhale, just folding yourself slightly further forward. So if this is really easy for you, if you are a little bit more flexible, then obviously you could turn the chair around and use the lower part of the chair. So you're coming forwards a little bit more. But really, I'm going to turn it around. Even though I can do it, just notice that I don't, because I'm actually working more on lengthening through the spine. So if I'm up a little bit higher, I can work a little bit more on this. And then just breath by breath, if it feels good, I just come a little bit lower down. But it's not my priority here. It's really that lengthening. And you might want to have someone take a picture of you in this pose, just to see what it looks like. Is there a lot of rounding into the upper back, or are you opening through the chest? Good, so let's change sides. Right leg is forward, left leg is back. So if you have a lumbar curve, you will probably feel quite a big difference between the sides. So again, at this stage, we're not addressing the imbalances too much. We don't want to overcomplicate things, but just notice which side might feel tighter, which side might feel a little bit harder. Good, so lengthening through the crown of the head, lengthening through the tailbone. One more breath. And then coming all the way back up. So when we've done an asymmetric position, we always want to come back to symmetry afterwards. So we're coming back to our half downward dog, so walking the feet back. And here, if you are a little bit more stretchy and you want to take the feet a little bit further back, extending a little bit more, and this feels nice, then really go for it and really enjoying that stretch. So kitchen counter is my favorite prop for this position. And then obviously if you don't have this movement here in the hips just yet, then just find something a little bit higher. So you might be here and just kind of reaching forwards from there, but really enjoy that length. That's really what we're looking for. We're kind of trying to reverse all the effects that gravity has on the body all day long. Good. So let's come all the way up, and I'm going to turn the chair around. So we always finished the yoga practice with a relaxation called shavasana. So we're going to lie on the back, and for this variation of shavasana, I'm going to elevate my legs. So you could just extend the legs out on the ground, but what feels really nice to release the lower back is resting the legs onto a chair. So if you come to lying on your back and then bring the lower legs onto the chair. So notice I've got a little bit of an angle here, so I'm resting the backs of the knees on the edge of the chair and then just lying down like this. If this is uncomfortable in the back, then you could pad your yoga mat with some blankets before you lie down. And then when you're there, just allowing for the body to drop into the ground now. So there might still be some muscles that are holding on, because we've done lots of active poses, strengthening poses. So it might take a few breaths until the body is ready to release to the ground. Especially I always find the lower part of the rib cage is always, definitely for me, is always holding on. So it always takes a few more breaths until it's ready to release down. So you can keep your eyes open or you can close your eyes, just noticing your breath. And we're usually in yoga, we're breathing in and out through the nose. And just following that rhythm of the breath, noticing the rising and the falling of the breath. And letting go of any remaining tension in the body. Just enjoy being. You're right there where you're supposed to be. You're whole, you're complete, you're perfect the way you are. And then when you're ready to come out of Shavasana, just gently start to move your fingers and your toes, resting the feet on the edge of the chair for a moment, and then roll yourself over to the side and coming up into sitting when you're ready. Obviously, if you want to stay a little longer, then feel free to stay there. And I will see you very soon for the next video.